For nearly 50 years, a machine sat inside sealed metal cases in the communication rooms of the Warsaw Pact, so secret that Western intelligence agencies didn't even know its real name until the early 2000s. They called it, informally, the Russian Enigma. Soviet cryptographers called it Fialka, the Russian word for violet. And unlike the German Enigma it was rumored to be based on, no one outside a handful of trusted Eastern Bloc engineers ever got to see its internal wiring while the Cold War was still being fought. The story of how the Soviet Union engineered Fialka is a story about learning from someone else's failure. The Allies broke Enigma. They broke it badly, repeatedly, for years. And that failure helped shorten the Second World War. Soviet engineers studied exactly why Enigma fell apart under pressure, and then spent the next decade building something engineered specifically to avoid every mistake the Germans had made. This is the story of how a team of Soviet cryptographers took the core idea behind the world's most famous broken cipher machine and used engineering discipline to build something that, as far as declassified records show, was never definitively broken during its entire operational life.
To understand Fialka, you first have to understand what actually went wrong with Enigma. The German machine used a series of rotating wheels, or rotors, each wired internally to scramble the electrical path from one letter to another. Every time an operator pressed a key, at least one rotor advanced, changing the wiring pattern for the next letter typed. In theory, this created billions of possible letter substitutions. In practice, Enigma had structural weaknesses that Polish, then British codebreakers at Bletchley Park exploited for years. A limited number of rotors to choose from, predictable operator habits, and critically, a design flaw where no letter could ever be encrypted as itself. That single quirk, along with intercepted routine messages, gave codebreakers a mathematical foothold that eventually cracked the entire system. Soviet military intelligence understood by the end of World War II exactly how catastrophic that failure had been for Germany. Encrypted communications had been read by the enemy for years, in some cases without German commanders ever realizing it. As the Cold War intensified through the late 1940s and early 1950s, Soviet leadership needed a cipher system for the entire Warsaw Pact that couldn't fall to the same category of mathematical attack. Simply copying Enigma's rotor concept wasn't enough. The design itself needed to be structurally re-engineered from the ground up. The result of that engineering effort, first introduced in 1956, was the M125, codenamed Fialka. It borrowed the general rotor-based concept that had made Enigma famous, but almost nothing else about it was the same. But what they didn't know was that fixing Enigma's flaws would require solving mechanical and mathematical problems far more complex than anything the original German engineers had attempted.
Soviet engineers approached Fialka's design with a checklist of everything that had doomed Enigma, and each item on that list represented a distinct technical challenge. The first problem was rotor count and complexity. Enigma typically used only 3 or 4 rotors selected from a small available set, each with 26 contacts corresponding to the Latin alphabet. A limited rotor pool meant a limited number of possible machine configurations, which gave codebreakers a manageable search space to attack. Soviet engineers needed a system with dramatically more internal complexity without making the machine so large or fragile that it became impractical for military communication units to carry and operate in the field. The second problem was the fatal flaw of self-encryption. Because of how Enigma's reflector wiring worked, a letter could mathematically never encrypt to itself.
That single property, seemingly a minor technical detail, gave Bletchley Park codebreakers a powerful shortcut for eliminating incorrect guesses when testing possible settings. Any successful redesign needed to eliminate this weakness entirely, meaning the new machine's internal wiring logic had to be built from fundamentally different mathematical principles rather than simply adding more rotors to the same underlying reflector design. The third problem was operator behavior and key distribution. Many of Enigma's real-world breaks came not from pure mathematics, but from predictable human habits, operators reusing settings, choosing weak keys, or following predictable daily patterns that reduced the effective complexity of the system. Any new machine needed a key management process that removed as much human guesswork as possible, replacing operator judgment with a standardized, physically distributed keying system that couldn't be shortcutted through habit or laziness.
Finally, there was the durability and output problem. Enigma displayed its encrypted output on a panel of small light bulbs, meaning an operator had to manually read and transcribe each letter by hand, a slow process prone to human transcription errors during high-pressure combat communication. Soviet engineers wanted a machine that could integrate directly with the physical infrastructure of military telecommunications, rather than requiring a person to hand copy encrypted letters one at a time. Solving all four problems simultaneously while keeping the machine field-portable and reliable in harsh conditions from Arctic outposts to desert deployments was the engineering task facing Soviet cryptographic designers throughout the early 1950s. The real breakthrough came when engineers stopped trying to improve Enigma's design and instead built an entirely new mathematical foundation for how the rotors interacted with each other.
Fialka's design answered each of Enigma's weaknesses with a specific, deliberate engineering choice, and together they produced a machine that operated on fundamentally different principles. The most immediately visible change was scale. Where Enigma used 3 or 4 rotors with 26 contacts each, Fialka used 10 rotors, each with 30 contacts, accommodating the Russian Cyrillic alphabet along with additional symbols. More rotors meant more possible internal wiring states, but the truly clever engineering choice was in how those rotors moved. Rather than having every rotor step forward in the same direction like Enigma's, Fialka's engineers designed adjacent rotors to rotate in opposite directions from one another. This meant the mathematical relationship between neighboring rotors never repeated in the same simple pattern that had made Enigma's stepping sequences at least partially predictable. Calculating how 10 rotors, alternating direction, would interact after thousands of keystrokes required a level of combinatorial engineering far beyond what German cryptographers had worked with a decade earlier. Fialka also eliminated Enigma's fatal reflector flaw. Rather than using a fixed reflector wiring pattern that mathematically guaranteed no letter could encrypt to itself, Soviet engineers redesigned the logic so that any letter could, in principle, encrypt to any other letter, including itself. This single change closed off the specific mathematical shortcut that had allowed Bletchley Park's codebreakers to eliminate large blocks of impossible settings quickly. Without that shortcut, an attacker attempting to break Fialka through the same category of analytical attack faced an enormously larger search space with far fewer structural weaknesses to exploit as a starting point. But what they didn't know was that closing the mathematical gap meant nothing if human operators kept making the same predictable mistakes that had doomed Enigma in the first place.
The key distribution problem was solved through an ingenious piece of physical engineering, a punched card reader built directly into the machine.
Rather than relying on operators to manually configure rotor settings from memory or written instructions, each Fialka unit read its daily key configuration from a pre-punched card, centrally produced and distributed through secure channels. This meant human error and predictable operator habits, the very weaknesses that had compromised Enigma repeatedly, were removed almost entirely from the daily keying process. An operator simply inserted the correct card for that day, and the machine configured itself precisely and consistently every single time. Finally, Fialka addressed the output problem with genuine mechanical sophistication. Instead of a lamp panel requiring manual transcription, Fialka printed its encrypted output directly onto a paper strip, functioning much like a specialized typewriter. At the same time, the machine could punch the same output onto paper tape in a 5-level digital code, similar in structure to the teleprinter systems already used across military communication networks. This meant an encrypted message could move almost seamlessly from the cipher machine directly into existing telecommunications infrastructure, dramatically reducing the transcription errors and delays that had plagued earlier rotor-based systems during high-tempo military operations. Engineering all of this into a single field portable unit required significant mechanical precision. 10 rotors rotating in alternating directions, synchronized with a punched card reader, a printing mechanism, and a paper tape punch, all needed to function reliably in metal field cases that might be transported across rough terrain, used in freezing Arctic conditions, or operated in humid tropical postings by Warsaw Pact allies as far away as Cuba. Soviet engineers built variant keyboard layouts for Cyrillic, German, Polish, and Czech operators, allowing the same core cryptographic engineering to serve the entire Warsaw Pact alliance rather than requiring separate machines for each member nation. But this was only the beginning, because building an uncrackable machine meant nothing if it couldn't be kept secret long enough to matter.
Fialka entered service in 1956 and was steadily upgraded over the following decade, with the more advanced M125-3M model introduced around 1965, adding further refinements to the reflector and rotor system. It became the standard cipher machine across the Warsaw Pact, used not only by Soviet forces, but by East German, Polish, Czechoslovak, and other Allied militaries, each operating versions adapted to their own language and keyboard layout. Perhaps the most remarkable engineering achievement wasn't a single technical feature, but the operational secrecy surrounding the entire machine. Unlike Enigma, whose basic design became widely understood relatively quickly once German units were captured, detailed information about Fialka's internal wiring and reflector logic remained almost entirely unknown outside Eastern Bloc cryptographic circles for decades. Western intelligence agencies knew the machine existed and had a general sense of its rotor-based operation, but detailed technical analysis of its internals didn't become publicly available until roughly the mid-2000s, long after the Cold War itself had ended. In practical terms, that means Fialka accomplished something Enigma never did. It kept its core engineering secrets safe for the entire span of its operational service. However, the biggest test of that secrecy was still ahead, because keeping a machine hidden during a war is one thing, and keeping it hidden after your entire alliance collapses is another. Fialka remained in active service across the Warsaw Pact until the alliance itself dissolved in 1991, giving the machine an operational lifespan of roughly 35 years, a remarkable run for any piece of Cold War cryptographic hardware. When the Warsaw Pact collapsed, many Fialka units were deliberately destroyed or melted down by the militaries that had operated them, standard practice for retiring sensitive cryptographic equipment and ensuring adversaries couldn't recover working examples for study. The relatively small number of surviving machines, mostly recovered from former Eastern Bloc military surplus and private collections after 1991, eventually allowed cryptographic historians and hobbyists to begin publicly documenting Fialka's design in detail. That process of public reverse engineering, conducted openly online in the 2000s and 2010s, finally gave Western cryptographic historians the kind of detailed technical understanding of Fialka that had been available for Enigma since shortly after World War II. Fialka stands today as a rare example in cryptographic history of a system engineered specifically by studying an adversary's failure and systematically closing every weakness that caused it. Rather than simply building a bigger, more complicated version of Enigma, Soviet engineers identified precise mathematical and procedural flaws, then solved each one individually through deliberate mechanical and cryptographic design. Modern cryptographers still study Fialka's rotor-stepping logic and card-based key distribution system as an early example of engineering discipline applied directly to lessons learned from a competitor's documented failure. If you enjoyed learning how Soviet engineers turned Enigma's failure into their own cryptographic blueprint, subscribe for more stories of the code breakers and code makers who shaped how nations communicated in secret. And if secret communication systems fascinate you, check out our video on how the hardened cable network beneath America's missile fields kept nuclear command and control alive across 1,000 miles of buried wire.